Hace unos días, el presentador del canal de hinchas de Liverpool, Craig Holden, que aquí lo pueden ver, dijo que Lucho Diaz era reemplazable. Unos días antes había dicho que le gustaba mucho. Hoy, en su presentación en vivo, dijo que no, que el que se debe ir es Salah, no Lucho. Por eso le digo yo, ¿cómo le digo? Ya saben. ¡Gol de arepa! Así es. Y durante la conversación me metí y le escribí una cosa porque le quería corregir ciertas cosas que dijo de Lucho y me contestó en vivo. Les voy a traer eso en unos días porque hoy yo les había prometido traerles el otro punto de vista, los que analizan mejor a Lucho, no así tan emocional como Craig. Así que les voy a traer los pensamientos de Anfield Rap, que es el canal más grande, digamos, en general, no en YouTube, en general, en todos los medios sociales es el más grande y tiene el podcast más grande de Liverpool. Incluso tienen acceso a jugadores, han entrevistado a Klopp, hicieron un documental de Klopp y todo eso, así que tienen mucho poder, tienen una cantidad de presentadores, así que les voy a traer lo que dicen ellos, es muy bueno. Esa es la segunda parte, la parte más larga del video, subtitulada, traducida como siempre. La primera parte es de Redman TV, que es digamos, el canal más grande de YouTube, no el canal expansivo, digamos, no cubre todos los medios sociales, pero en YouTube es el más grande. Ese les traigo de primero y después el otro, así que son 6 minutos de muy buen contenido, analizan muy bien a Lucho, así que me alegra eso. Otra cosa que se me olvidó contarles, y algo que Craig no mencionó en su video de hoy. Luis Díaz fue escogido como el mejor jugador de abril para Liverpool. Salió en la página de Liverpool. Aquí pueden ver un pedacito. Les voy a poner el link en la descripción para que vayan y vean eso, porque hay un video donde lo entrevistan y contesta en español. Todavía no sé hablar inglés, pero ahí pueden ver un poquito de lo que él dice. Que incluso Craig menciona un poco de eso, porque alguien le menciona que Lucho dijo que se quería quedar en Liverpool. Y él le echó una cantidad de piedras a Lucho. Van a ver eso en un par de días. Paciencia, paciencia. Pero vayan a ver el video. Ahí está en la página de Liverpool. El mejor jugador de abril para Liverpool. Así que, y votado por los hinchas. Así que hay una división ahí, los que le gustan y los que no le gustan el juego de Lucho. Así que, bueno, no quiero hablar más. Les traigo el video subtitulado y traducido de todo lo que piensan. Muy buen análisis, especialmente en el video de al final, el que está con un busito parecido al mío, lo analiza muy bien a Lucho. Así que escuchen eso. Dejen su comentario sobre todo esto. Yo trato de leerlos y contestarles a todos. A todos los que contestaron al video de Craig Holden y todo eso, yo les contesté hoy. Así que vayan y miren lo que les dije. Yo trato de contestarles a todos. A veces puedo, a veces no. Cuando meten política o religión no contesto. Trato de no meterme en eso. No me gusta mezclar el fútbol, la religión y la política. Así que prefiero que no mencionen cosas así. Además, genera peleas bobas. Así que gracias si no comentan de esa manera. Así que agradezco sus comentarios. Suscríbanse si son nuevos en el canal. Denle like al video a los que están suscritos, que eso me ayuda muchísimo. Denle la campanita para saber cuando sale un nuevo video. El Liverpool juega contra el Aston Villa mañana. Así que si algo pasa con Lucho, hace gol y todo eso, yo les traigo reacciones y todo eso. Y el video de Craig, el gol de arepa, en unos días. Bueno, así que los dejo con eso. Yo no hablo más, hablé muchísimo. Nos vemos pronto aquí en Golazo. Disfruten.
But Luis Diaz is currently, I think, our best player. I think in the way he's all round playing. I said this to you the other day. If he just scored a few more goals, we would have a new Luis Suarez, I think. And I think that's evidenced by his songs, the only one that seems to be catching fire in the way ends and stuff at the minute. Because he wants it. He
does, but there's a problem with that as well, because he's not good enough to be our best player.
Yeah.
And he has been our best player, and by a mile, because of everything that he puts into the game, the heart, he's got that willingness to drive you on to results and everything else. But our best player should be scoring goals. Our best player should be making assists and all this type of stuff. And unfortunately, he is a great foil for when Mo Salah's scoring 30 goals a season and your centre forward scoring 25.
Yeah.
But if he's the one and the other two are crap, that's not good enough.
He's got a problem.
He's not good enough to be our best player, that's what I'm saying.
He's playing better, almost to compensate for them not playing very well.
Yeah.
But he doesn't score the
He's
goals
not the output
that
guy, is he?
make the real difference. Which is, you just have to applaud him for the way he's playing, because anyone else, their head could go down. They could think, why am I bothered?
The derby especially, I thought he was outstanding.
Some of his skill set is just phenomenal.
But the Diaz one's the one that's interesting for me, because you think, well, he's starting him and he's starting him, and that's obviously, I don't know whether that's because he feels Diaz has got a little bit more energy at this part of the season, but it feels to me more likely that Diaz is giving him what he wants.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I would say he's always started Diaz. Like, he always picks Diaz. Whenever I'm on a show and people predict a starting lineup and Diaz isn't in it, I'm always just like, what are you on about? Like, we know Diaz is going to start if he's fit. He does seem to have incredible energy reserves. He's almost got that, we used to talk about Mo Salah being like this, that way where he just would play every single game if you picked him. Diaz seems to have that about him. I think of, running on one leg at Wembley in the Carabao Cup final, in extra time. I think he's had a really impressive second half of the season, Diaz. I wish he could have crowned it with a few more goals, a few more assists. There'll always be that argument about his end product and his numbers. But the way he carries the ball forward, the way he holds on to the ball, relieves pressure on us, the amount of times he's a bridgehead for an attack. I think he's a brilliant footballer. And there's a big part of me, there's already people saying that they think he's someone who's a sellable asset, could be moved on in the summer. And I keep thinking, but what could Slot maybe do with him? How could we get the better out of him?
He should be coming into his peak.
What I like about Diaz, and the things I don't like about Diaz, I think generally I'd like to sort of grab him and move him 15 yards up the pitch every so often. Stop getting the ball in the halfway line, try and get it in the final third and get in the penalty area more. But what's been a problem with Salah, what's been a problem with Núñez and a problem with Jota at times and Gakpo is you can come off at the end of the game and go, didn't touch the ball.
Yeah.
Diaz never that. Even if he is doing it sort of too far from goal, he's always battling, he's always dribbling, he's always there's never a case where you come off and think, didn't see Diaz today. You always think he's there. And sometimes that feeds into the frustration of we want to do more with it, but at least he's doing something. There's no surprise to me that he keeps picking him, because imagine what Liverpool's attack would look like if he didn't have Diaz. Imagine that at Goodison if they hadn't have had Diaz on the pitch.
And he's unlucky as well not to get a couple of goals in the last few games, Ian. And I take the point that the lads have made and people generally make with Luis Diaz and say, well, are his numbers, in terms of goals and assists, high enough for a Liverpool player in a front line in a 4-3-3, and I think that's something that he does need to address.
He's in double figures for the season anyway, isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's weird that the world seems happy to have a conversation about the lack of output from Diaz, but no one's having this conversation about Doku. And Doku literally has no end product at all. I think he's got he's in single figures for the season, isn't he? And he was a big buy. He was a buy that everybody wanted a couple of seasons ago. City spent a lot of money on him. He's now their left forward. He's not doing the job that Diaz is doing. Diaz is doing the far best job.
You could say the same about Grealish.
Yeah, last season. For all his good performances, he wasn't getting the numbers, was he? Yeah.
I think Diaz is not far off being Mane kind of level, probably a few below in terms of goals, but Mane had one season I think where he got sort of 23, maybe more, but he was generally I think 15 to 21, 22, so Diaz isn't far off that. I think there is an element,
and he was out for 2 months.
There's 4 others who are all in double figures as well around it. I think the one thing I do think is in the league, I think Gakpo's got 6, and I think Diaz has got 8. Yeah. And you think, okay, of course you've got, I'm not saying stat padding, but you've got a lot of cup games that you're building up.
Well, even Núñez is only 11.
Exactly, there you go, yeah. And I think Salah's 17, isn't he, in the Premier League. So you would think that, okay, I want him to be looking at sort of 12, 15 league goals. That would be where you'd want, especially if you start in every game. He must have 50, I think, appearances, Diaz, this season. I think he could have more end product, but like John says, I mean, he's that close to scoring at Goodison, he's that close to scoring at West Ham. He obviously had the big chances against City in the second half of that game. I think you do maybe worry that is he a killer, as managers would call him. But I'll tell you what, like I say, take him out of Liverpool's team in the last few weeks and it wouldn't be a very pretty sight at all.